Well, it's finally here. The highly anticipated limited edition Smartwool and Grateful Dead collection has finally dropped exclusively at smartwool.com.
You may know Smartwool as the go-to brand for all things merino wool, from socks to base layers. Smartwool has been keeping people comfortable outside for decades with some of the softest and ethically sourced merino wool out there.
Well, Smartwool's limited edition collection and collaboration with the Grateful Dead is back by popular demand right in time for the holidays.
From t-shirts and hoodies to beanies and socks, now you can have the next level comfort of Smartwool with all your favorite iconic Grateful Dead designs. Shop the drop exclusively at smartwool.com and get it before it's gone for good. Gone for good. That's Smartwool, SMARTWOOL.com.
Hello and welcome to Season 4, Episode 27 of the Undermine podcast by Osiris Media. That means we're more than halfway done with this season, which is sad, but it's also great because it means that we're smack in the middle of the meat where we want to be. I'm Tom Marshall, your host, as we revisit and relive Phish's famous Fall 97 tour. And we're going to dive into each show from now on this season on the 25th anniversary of when it was played. Today's co-host has been a part of Undermine since Season 2 and a part of the Phish community since before there were podcasts. Please welcome Benji Eisen. Hi, Benji.
Hello, Tommy G.
That's me.
Are you? You're Timmy too. You're Tommy G. Are your eyes feeling tired? Are your nose light? Okay, look, that was a stretch, but tonight's show is a little bit of a sleeper, or it will be once more people discover it. As legendary as Fall 97 is, we have to remember that back when the tour was unfolding in real time, it was before we had pocket downloads and we could just, hit up live Phish the next day. It's easy now to listen to every note that Phish plays within hours of Phish playing it. That's what I do. I don't miss a note anymore. So I'm very thankful for that evolution. But in 1997, when tape trading was the analog version of a social network, you really had to pick and choose. So unless there was a lot of heat on the show, like November 17th in Denver, or the Hampton Run, Worcester, all of which we get to, not every show was like even heard. So this feels like this is one of those ones that got unfairly skipped over. 25 years later, it's a gift. Let's crack it open. Let's see what secrets it holds. But first of all, let's remember that this was just the second night of the Fall 97 tour, a Friday night in Utah, right after the Vegas opener and right before the Denver run.
Don't you have anything else that you have to say, Benji?
Not really. All right. Yeah. Okay. So second of all, if you're enjoying what we're doing on the show, then please consider supporting our new Osiris Premium offering. You can join it for just a couple bucks a month. You'll get bonus episodes of HF Pod and Undermine. You get ad-free episodes, access to the full archival Under the Scales catalog, discounts on Osiris merch, meet and greets, AMAs, the opportunity to guest on our shows, and you get all that. But when you go, let's see, I think you have to check out osirispod.com/premium, or to make it easy, you can just click on the link in the show notes.
And is there a third of all, Benji?
There's a third ball. So yes, of course. Look, we all have a lot of memories of these Fall 97 shows, whether we can remember them or not. It's not really fair for us to just share our stories without hearing yours. And you can do that. We want you to do that. If you can make a 1 minute, that is 60 seconds or less, video clip, telling your tale, weighing your way, dropping your 2 cents, post them on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, tag Osiris Pod, and we will choose a contributor at random who will win a handwritten copy of the lyrics to Ghost from our friend Tom Marshall.
Not necessarily, they'll be handwritten, but maybe not by my hand. No,
Well,
they're by my hand.
I do have to say that if your last name is Anastasio, Gordon, Fishman, or McConnell, you may be disqualified from winning. But we encourage your submissions just the same. Okay, Tom, it's finally that time. We are here. We are in Salt Lake City, I guess. So tell us about our guest today.
All right, I will. I'm going to bring in Dom from the waiting room. Today's guest is Dom Deluca. Dom is one of our friends who reached out to us because he was at, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Dom, every Fall 97 stop, including his 100th show. He's seen more than 400 total and counting, which makes it little surprise that his title is the Events and Marketing Director for Heady, New Jersey, a cannabis media company where Dom is also a partner. So, Dom, I'm in New Jersey and I got to check out your place. Where is it?
It's an online media business, so you don't have to go in. You can check it out right now, headynj.com. But we do a bunch of events, and we're doing one in South Jersey pretty soon, actually. But we do marketing, events, sponsorships. And we've been in the game before, legalization. We've been advocating for that and home grow and all that. So
wonderful.
Anybody watching this or anybody listening to this can't see, but anybody watching this on YouTube will be able to see that Dom's actually repping the gear as well.
And I got all my stubs from '97.
Oh wow!
Except Utah.
Oh wow!
Why don't you have the Utah stub?
I don't have Vegas either. I don't know. A couple didn't make it. I was there though.
Well, apart from that, the very impressive ticket stub handful that we just saw. Dom, welcome to Undermine. And before we start talking about this particular night, can you give us a little context for your context? When did you start seeing Phish, and how many shows had you seen in '97 leading up to this particular one?
Well, I first heard of them around '92 in high school in northern New Jersey. Everybody was going to concerts around there. They were pretty big, and they went to the Horde tour because Blues Traveler and Spin Doctors were really big around Jersey, as you know, Tom.
Yep.
So I went to my first show finally 2 nights before Benji, 12/29/93, where the stage was a Phish tank, and I thought the same as him. I thought it was going to be like that every night. That's when I got there, but it wasn't. But it was an amazing show. Runaway Gym opener, just like Utah. So yeah, it's 12/29/93, and then leading up, I saw a bunch of them from the Beacon, Sugar Bush '94, which is one of my favorites of all time. A lot in '95. I saw mostly all of '96, fall and summer, which was a lot. And then '97, I saw every summer one. I got shut out of the Burlington show. I was up there, but I couldn't get in. Remember for the fish food? Yeah, the Flint Beer. Yeah, I couldn't get in, but I saw every summer show and every fall. That was like the only year I saw all of them. I don't know how or why, but I picked a good one.
That's incredible. Nice.
I'm glad you gave us that context because, Phish started going, it's something we've been talking about a lot on the show. They started going into this, funkier direction at the start of '97 in Europe. I guess really back in October of
Halloween.
That's exactly right. Yeah, the Talking Heads. And then, it to me at the time, it was subtle and overt. Like you realized it, but, '97 is when the funk went full bloom until the cows came home. So, at the time, as it was unfolding, did it seem to you like all of a sudden we were watching a different band than they were in 1996?
Yeah, a lot of people say that, but a lot of people also, '96 is very underrated because it's sandwiched between December '95 and then, '97. But there were some amazing moments. Like you said, we didn't really see that cow funk a little like Halloween and stuff, but it was definitely a different monster for sure. I mean, the summer tour was phenomenal too. We got, Deer Creek, Walnut Creek.
Yeah,
that was some amazing stuff.
All the creeks.
Yeah, they were all pretty good. And when it was unfolding, did you really think like, wow, this is amazing? No, I mean, it was all pretty amazing. I thought they destroyed America in '94. But I mean, right? I don't know.
They destroyed me in '94.
I mean, so you know, to me, when it was happening, did I say, "Wow"? No, I just thought it was a regular night. I mean, every night was great. That's why I kept going. I guess, you know, that's why I wouldn't have went if I didn't think they were destroying America.
They kept rebuilding America, and then Phish kept coming back and destroying it. It's sort of mean of them in a way. So, all right, you start the tour in Las Vegas the night before, which was 25 years ago yesterday. Do you remember anything about your journey from there to the E Center in West Valley City, Utah?
Well, actually, I remember, I'm going to say this one thing. I took a Greyhound to Las Vegas from New York City with a guy I met at the wetlands.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was a crazy experience. We took the Greyhound to Las Vegas. I had a backpack. I had 2 shirts. One was a Mo shirt, and everybody was calling me Mo on that tour. I was like, oh, my God, I can't believe that. I'm glad that didn't stick. But so I do remember going to Utah. It was cold and rainy, and I don't think there was much of a lot like in '97. I was there in '98 for Dark Side of the Moon. There wasn't anything there either that night. But there wasn't much of a lot. Inside, I could barely remember, to be honest with you. I can't really remember much of the inside of that show, but no, it was cold and rainy, and it was probably a pretty easy ticket. If Utah '98 was half empty, I can't imagine '97 being, you know, any more than that.
Yep.
And with the same routing, you know, Dom, you and I have dozens, actually, you know, maybe even hundreds of friends in common, many of whom we were just meeting for the first time around this time.
Yeah.
You know, the Phish scene was really, to borrow a phrase, Tom, sorry, but the Phish scene was really expanding exponentially. You know, they were 2 years into being an arena band. Crews were kind of crewing up. So, Dom, how would you describe, you know, the social element of the Phish scene at this time? How is it different for kids just getting into it these days? How is it different today than it was back then?
Like back then, like '97 is when we saw, like '95, you did see the people that came from the Dead tour. They were just there for that. Like they were definitely on at the end of '95 and '96. But '97, we saw like the people that came on in '97 are still, like a lot of the people are still on. Like there was like a lot of the diehard, you know, I was meeting a lot of people from California and all that. And, you know, the Shakedown wasn't like it is now. Now it's like you walk out there and it's small business like Haven. They got brands and everything. It's like a small business mall out there. Back then we had a cooler of Sammy Smith and that was it. And maybe we had 2 shirts, Be Good Family, remember them, and Seedless. You know, we had 2 brands, but now it's a lot different. Now it's more like a business, and it's crazy. Grilled cheeses are $10. They were $1 back then.
That's awesome.
I mean, people were into it. I feel like there was more people on tour back then for some reason. I don't know why, but maybe it's bigger. But I feel like the hallways, we had like hundreds of people in the hall and stuff. It was crazy.
Maybe because it was smaller, it felt bigger.
Yeah, it did. Maybe, you know. But I feel like a lot of people got older and have, you know, are doing stuff. They're not on every show. We were at every show, so.
That's awesome. And you said you didn't remember much about the venue, but I'm trying to think, like, you know, the band obviously enjoyed playing there because the next time, as you said, they returned there and they played Dark Side of the Moon, and you went to that, but neither show sold out. So maybe they were like figuring that it's in the wrong place on the map or something. Do you think that was it? They experimented twice and then they stopped playing there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what happened. I mean, like I said, '98, I was on the floor and it was half empty. They couldn't even give tickets away to that one, so I don't know why they went back there twice. But I mean, '98 was amazing. So you know, they're both amazing shows.
That's the one. That's the you snooze, you lose. The ultimate you snooze, you lose.
I walked out of there. I remember just like, what just happened? I couldn't call anybody because there was no cell phone. But I was like, whoa. And then I had a friend. We drove to the show. He was too tired from being in Vegas from the Halloween night. And he's like, I'm going to stay in the car. Then we got out to the car. He's like, what did they play? You wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it.
It's funny too, because you're saying the floor was so, you know, half empty and all this, and yet at the same time, if you could tell people what it was that they're about to see, it may be like the most in-demand Phish ticket.
Yeah, they would have left Vegas. They would have like left the hangover they had and all that. But,
well, you know, we should probably talk some about the music. You know, I like the show. It's really good, but we've got to do better than that and more in-depth ways of saying that when we come back. We are going to go to a quick little commercial break, so stick around.
Have you ever wondered what it would feel like if your investments reflected what matters most to you? At Green Future Wealth Management, the advisors specialize in helping clients manifest their values in their financial lives. Green Future Wealth Management was founded by certified financial planner practitioner and longtime fan Nick Cantrell, named by Forbes as one of the top next-gen wealth advisors in the country. Whether you are just getting started or have complex investing and financial planning needs, visit them on the web at greenfuturewealth.com. You can sign up for the email list or take the Investing Values quiz. When you feel ready, schedule a free virtual consultation. In appreciation for the amazing Phish community and the incredible work being done by fans across the country, Green Future Wealth Management will be donating 10% of asset management proceeds from new Osiris listener clients to Fans for Racial Equity. Just be sure to mention Osiris when booking your appointment. Create your green future. Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., member FINRA/SIPC. Advisory services offered through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc. Cambridge and Green Future Wealth are not affiliated.
We hope you stuck around, because if you didn't and you're still hearing this, something's off. But anyway, Dom, set one is just a phenomenally played set. It opens traditionally with the Runaway Jim, but by the second song, Gumbo, we're already in a new territory for the band. Mike Gordon is just really leaning into the 97 sound. And just a couple of my observations. Maze is unfinished. 2001 is stretched out. And Antelope is kind of the peak. What are your set one highlights?
I mean, that Gumbo, is there a better Gumbo? I mean, I couldn't tell you. That was when it really started to come. Like, woof, Mike was slapping that bass real hard. And Fishman was pretty in the pocket too. That show, when I listened to it again, he was destroying it. But definitely the Gumbo, the Gaiute, they dedicated to Paul Languedoc. If you heard that, the end of it, he liked whistling, or that's what he said at the end. It was a pretty high energy Antelope with the whistling once again. But I have to give it to the Gumbo. I mean, that's definitely the highlight of the set. That's where it started to come, and that funk got in there.
No question.
Yeah, that's definitely when you realize that it's like it's second show in too. It's kind of like they're setting the intention, like this is going to be our fingerprint. So let's jump right into the second set. It's one of those, there's this legend of the 4-song second set, and this is one of them because it has 4 songs. So Wolfman sets the tone right off the bat with a little bit more of a laid back groove than usual. And then you have the 2 new songs, which, Piper and the Twist, new meaning they were debuted earlier that summer. So what were your thoughts on the new material?
I mean, the Piper and the Twist? Piper I loved. I mean, especially that Piper was the slower intro with the build up. I mean, that is my favorite, that when they used to do that one. So I was loving that, because where did they debut that? In Europe? I think so, right?
I believe you're right.
Yep. So I mean that reminds me of all that. Like that Piper was very slow build up. Fishman and Trey were just feeding off each other, and everyone's coming in. And Paige is absolutely crushing it. Like right after the last chorus intro, then it gets really good. So the Piper is good. The Twist is really good. Twist is probably like the meatiest of the set. When I listen to it again, I mean, everyone loves the Nassau one or whatever. Or the one from the Island Tour is like the big one, but this is a contender for sure. It's definitely one of the best ones I've heard. And then Slave to the Traffic Light, that is like 15 or 16 minutes of pure bliss. That's one of my favorite ones. It just go. I mean, it flows so smoothly. So I mean, that's like floating on a cloud. I listened to it again last night. I thought, wow, that's one of the best renditions. I mean, it's only 55 minutes, that second set. It's pretty short. That's
the secret of the 4-song second sets, is that sometimes they're short sets, but because they did everything they needed. That Slave, like you said, is one of the best slaves out there.
It is. I mean, there is probably a better one of them, or as good. But there was also 4 songs on my 100 show, 11/19, like 3 nights later. So I guess there was a couple of them. I must have heard more 4-song second sets, but it's just flowed like so perfect. You didn't really need anything more than that.
Right, Tom, I know that it's your turn to ask Dom a question, but I'm sorry, before we continue, I have to ask you a question, actually. Kind of the same thing we were just talking about, but from a different angle. Because, we were talking about the Piper and the Twist being 1997 songs. you wrote the lyrics to both of those. So I know, you said in the past that sometimes when you first hear Phish perform one of your songs live, that the music can kind of surprise you. Was that the case with these two?
Well, definitely to distinguish between the two, there's almost like two opposite sides of the coin. So like Piper was really a Trey guitar, like bonanza. He was just sort of like came up with this riff and these 4 chords or 3 chords, whatever it is, and just repetitive. And I think I remember him like recording it and just getting really into it. And he just started singing some lyrics. We were in a farmhouse when he wrote it. We wrote it, and he was just singing lyrics from the middle of one of my poems. Like he just grabbed lyrics without even thinking. And I think it was just because either his eyes fell on them or he just liked the sound of the words. And by the way, the timing of the red worm and the whole back of the worm thing was just a coincidence. The 2 worms don't know each other. They're not the same worm. But it's one of those songs that obviously I don't think we spent a lot of time on lyrically. And so I never thought it would be such a favorite of Trey's or a band favorite or an audience favorite. So yes, I was probably marginally surprised when this one started appearing regularly. But Twist, on the other hand, we spent forever perfecting. And it was one of those, we wrote it in one of the, 97 Vermont farmhouse sessions. And I remember going to bed after working on it, like perfecting it, I thought, and waking up the next morning and Trey was still working on it. He had just figured out how to make the circular ending come around correctly. And I woke up and I remember being blown away at how great the song sounded compared to the night before. And Trey, he'd finished it by staying up all night. So that one we both loved. And I was not at all surprised when that one dropped into the playlist.
Wow.
But Dom, let me in turn now ask you, 2 shows into the tour on a night heavy on the funk, the cow funk. Did it seem to you that Phish was exploring kind of a new direction or focus, or were they the same band that you fell in love with?
I didn't really see that. It was only 2 shows in, so they're coming off a pretty strong summer. It didn't really seem like too much different than that. But there were only 2 shows in. Like we still had Dayton, we still had McNichols, Ghost, we still had everything ahead of us. So it just sounded. I couldn't really see a difference, to be honest with you.
Gotcha.
Some people could, but for me, it was amazing. That's why I kept going back. I wouldn't have been in Utah, and also Trey was wearing the Pepe Le Pew shirt that night. And people always say when he wears that shirt, it's going to be magic. I don't know why. I thought that too, but now the internet says that, and I just did.
I think there's some scientific fact behind that.
Pepe's canceled.
But and I'm right there with you. I agree. And that when you're, with any period of Phish, when you're in it, it's like watching a kid grow every single day. You don't, like only in hindsight do you see the changes, I guess.
No, I don't dissect it like that either. I go for the vibe and the music and stuff like that. I don't really.
That's right.
Some people can dissect it, not me.
Well, after this night and a day off, the band rolls into Denver for what is kind of a weird 2-night stand. Weird because it's a Sunday and a Monday. It became instant legend, and then they continued onwards into a tour where every subsequent night of fall '97, it was kind of like an instant legend. So even though today's show we're focusing on the E Center, as they call it. What were some of your other fall '97 highlights?
Obviously, the Ghost. That's like the only thing I remember from McNichols, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm sure I went back and listened. Hampton, 11:20, or the Mike song night, and the Isabella that night. There's a lot of really good Black Eyed Katie's. Obviously, that embodied that whole funk thing for me. That was like, Black Eyed Katie was funk. So that. I liked Albany to bring out the dude show. That was the tour ender, right? There was some good stuff there. I mean, all that with the Cleveland. I mean, there's so many good shows. It's really hard for me to pick one and now remember. But yeah, there's a lot of highlights. Like I said, like that Mike song in Albany, the Mike song, the Halley's Comet, I think, or was in Hampton. All those shows. I remember being in Hampton '97. Those were super good.
Nice. Well, speaking of bringing out the dude, we brought out the dude who knows every single show of this tour. It's been it's been fun to have you here, Dom. One last question. So, because this is the first time, actually, I think I heard this particular show, and there's probably many of people out there that might be able to say the same thing. Like Benji was saying, it kind of was a little bit off the radar. When you went back and re-listened, were there any surprises? Like, what's the highlight that people have to listen to in this show?
I would say the gumbo and the slave to the traffic light. I didn't realize how amazing that was.
The gumbo and the slave will do it?
Yeah, the gumbo and the slave, and it's a Bold as Love encore. I want to say one thing is the Bold as Love. I want to dedicate this podcast to my friend Tessa and Hunter. They had a baby Hendrix, so she loves Jimi Hendrix. So
the baby's named Hendrix?
Yeah, a new baby in the Phish community.
Wow. Welcome, Hendrix. That is awesome. I don't think I've met a baby named or anyone named Hendrix.
The girl, no, it's going to be a rock star. The parents are rock stars. So
no question.
But yeah, that Slave to the Traffic Light is probably does it for me. And the Piper, I love the slow intro Piper, and that's beautiful build up.
Well, that makes one of us. I'm just kidding. That's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much, Dom Deluca, for joining us. And thanks, Dom, for re-meeting me after all that time we spent together so many years ago in the Phish AOL Fishbowl chat room. I mean, this is like years and years and years ago, right?
25, 27, 20, long time ago.
20. Yep, exactly. Probably right around this time we were in the Fishbowl. And thanks to my co-host Benji Eisen for doing whatever it is that he does, and RJB just cuz. And thanks to all of you listening, and thanks to the Osiris team, especially Eric Limarenko and Matt Dwyer, for making all this work from behind the scenes. And before switching to Live Phish, let me give a quick shout out to Cash or Trade, the world's only social network where fans buy, sell, and trade tickets at face value. Check out all the tickets at cashortrade.org. And you guys know what to do next. Listen to both nights of December 97. And don't make me tell you again, because when we return, we're going to tap the Rockies. So make the most of your day off, Fall 97 tour tomorrow, and blaze the most on. Thank you so much, Dom, and thank you, Benji.
Peace out.
Peace out.
Osiris.